Hello, Blazers. Welcome to episode 143 of UAB Green and Told. Original debut Monday, February 10th, 2025. This podcast gives us a chance to share stories from members of the UAB community. Check out previous episodes of UAB's most listened to podcasts by visiting alumni.uab.edu/greenandtold on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. And while there, leave a written review so more alums can listen in. I'm Greg Berry, a UAB alum and Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. In the spirit of Valentine's Day, we're diving into the story of love and serendipity with Archie and Christina Blackmon. From the moment they met, he was captivated by her charm and style, vividly recalling the outfit she wore. Even though he was with someone else at the time, her presence was unforgettable, leaving a lasting impression on him.
It was like a pink hula skirt or something like that. And I was like, oh man, she's cute.
It was like a pleated skirt. It was pink.
I don't know. You look good in the skirt. I was like, man, she's nice.
Fast forward to their first date. As they'll share, a simple gesture became his clever way of ensuring a second meeting.
When we get ready to leave, she's like, oh, here's your hat back. And I was like, no, I'll get it later. And then, I was like, you just we'll get it later, and so forth. And that was kind of my end to like, I'll call you, we'll go on a date, and then I'll get my hat back, right?
And when it came time to pop the question, her surprise was surreal. In the moment of excitement, she fumbled to figure out which hand to offer.
But I remember saying, let's make it official. And I remember her being so surprised that she didn't know which hand to give me to put the ring on, because she was like, I don't know which one to do. And I was like, here.
That's true.
Love has a way of bringing people together in the most unexpected places. And for today's guest, that place was UAB. Archie and Christina are both from Birmingham, but their paths didn't cross until they were undergrads. It was that connection that would spark and grow into a beautiful partnership. But before we dive into their love story, let's get a little background of who they are.
I was very much the energetic, teacher's pet, extroverted child. I think that that has always been a part of my energy, and just meeting people and just having fun.
I was a perfect child. I never got in trouble. I always listened to my parents. There was never any issues with me or anything like that. I was flawless.
And somehow, knowing you for 10 years, I don't believe an ounce of what you said.
I wish you could hear me shaking my head.
I was a typical kid for that time frame where, for the most part, we weren't allowed inside. So I was outside a lot. But for the most, I got in a lot of trouble. I'm not going to lie to you. I got in a lot of trouble. But it wasn't bad trouble. It just be like, hey, you don't know the limit till you get there, right? So you got to try it.
You guys grew up on opposite sides of Birmingham. One on the east, one on the west. Didn't know each other. Archie, why'd you choose UAB?
Because it worked for me. I was working full time. At that time, I was working for Bell South. And there was a lady named Sandra Mays. I would never forget Sandra. Sandra was like, Archie, you are too smart to be sitting here with no degrees. Like, you need to go to school. I was looked at and I was like, well, UAB it's close. And I was looking at, I can get a major there, and I could do it with my schedule. Because I worked, at that time, I was working 6 to 2:30. I could work with this. And they had a great program for like, I guess, professionals. And I was young. I was probably, when I started, I was maybe 20, 21, something like that. So, I mean, it wasn't like I was like far out of high school. I found out with other people that like just working wouldn't be enough. So that's kind of how I got to UAB.
Christina, you chose to stay in town and chose UAB. What was your choosing UAB story?
Honestly, UAB was not my first choice. My mom actually worked at the hospital, and so she was able to benefit from the educational assistance benefit or program. And going to Ramsey, it was not very exciting to attend a college that's like 6 blocks from where you graduated high school. However, just thinking about it at the time, first generation college student, and really just trying to figure out how to navigate this world and financial aid and all that stuff. And so ended up making the best sense, to the most sense, to come to UAB. So it wasn't initially a part of my plan, but it's just worked out so great for making that choice.
You came right out of high school onto campus. What was UAB like back in the mid 2000s?
The campus green was not a thing. It's very congested because there was a lot of like growth and building and students trying to fit in everywhere, parking everywhere. I thought at the time, coming from Ramsey, that I knew what UAB was, that, so on and so forth. But when I got to campus, it was so diverse, a lot of different events happening. I really felt like any type of thing that I wanted to try out, whether it's a student org, I was accepted and encouraged to be involved. But yeah, I always joke about how I graduated my undergrad degree in December of 2007. And the very next semester, Heritage Hall opened, the Rec Center opened, the dining facility opened. I think the campus green maybe opened. And I was like, man, I missed all of this stuff. But it was in that time, it was a period of transition of just moving towards the vision of what UAB was going to be and creating those resources and buildings to draw more and also help those students go throughout their program.
You did your undergraduate studies in communication studies. Why that route? What drew you to communications?
I've just always been kind of drawn to communications and interacting with people. My concentration was on public relations. And I also, previous to that, when I came out of high school, I had done some internships locally. So I interned at a local radio station. I interned at the state representative office. I interned at Salvation Army, and just realized that a lot of those things rely on communication. They rely on people understanding why they're there, what they're doing, how you can help. You can be an impact, or they can impact what you're doing. So for me, I was very drawn to the idea of having a message that everyone can, I guess, rally behind, or finding a way to get everyone to understand where you're coming from.
Archie, since your path was a little bit different, because here you are as a 21-year-old that's enrolling into UAB. What was the transition like going from high school to the workforce back to the classroom?
It was good. I liked it because the transition really, it kind of felt normal, I guess, to me, because in the workforce, I was around a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better term, adults, right? And so going back to college was like going to be around people that were my age. Because so I'm 20, let's say 21 years old, right? And my friends at work are 40s. Then I go to college, like, wait a minute, hey, there are people here that are like 18, 19, 20, 21, and so forth and so forth. So it kind of felt like being at home because people could relate to things that I was talking about, right? Whereas like the music I was listening to and the things I was into, they just weren't into it because they were significantly older than me.
Christina was heavily involved. Were you as well?
Not as much as she was. And I say that to say that she was involved a lot. I was involved. That's kind of how we met with doing different things and so forth. But I was involved with different activities. And it's kind of weird. Like I would do random things. Some of the stuff, I don't remember the name of it, but they'd have some activity. Somebody'd be like, hey, you're interested? Like, yeah, I do it. But I guess I would say my organization was a little bit limited, I guess, because of the schedule. So if it was available, I'd try it. And so, I met a lot of my friends just trying stuff.
You opened the door, so I'm going to walk us through it. You mentioned that it was getting involved that led you into Christina's life and the two paths crossing. Do you remember the first time you saw her?
I do. So at the time, we've got a friend named Mo, right? And so Mo is both of our friends. I don't know how I don't even know how I met Mo, but I did. And me and Mo was really close. And then Chris and Mo were really close. But the birthday party was for a girl that I was dating at the time who Mo also knew. And so we go to the birthday party. And I remember Chris was wearing this, it was like a pink poodle skirt or something like that. And I was like, oh man, she's cute.
It was like a pleated skirt. It was pink.
I don't know. You look good in the skirt. I was like, man, she's nice. But I was dating this girl at the time. So I didn't like pursue her or anything like that. But I just remembered like, oh man, she's really cute. And so anyway, that was the first time that we met. And then I remember I wasn't dating the girl at the time, but we hadn't really like talked or anything. And I was driving to class or something, and Chris was walking somewhere. And I remember I almost wrecked my car, like trying to go and see her. So I was like pulling over to the side of the road, trying to say, hey, trying to be real cool, but I almost wrecked that time. But that
Yeah, I
was,
had no recollection of that. I didn't know that any of that happened.
yeah, I think I probably just played it off and just waved or something. But I remember that vividly because I almost totaled my car on university during that time.
So, Christina, what was it about Archie? Obviously, his sense of humor, because he has got just a personality that's gigantic beyond gigantic. What was it about him that drew you towards him that you go, you know what? Maybe this is a dude I want to date?
So the first time we met at the party, it was kind of just passing. This guy's really nice. He's got a great smile. Really nice to like kind of have a conversation with. But you know, he was dating someone, so I was like, and moving on. And we our paths crossed again. That I think Archie hasn't mentioned is where it really started our interaction and dating. Is where I was on the Leadership and Service Council that coordinated, and my job was to coordinate into the streets.
Okay.
Our friend Mo as well said, I really think you should talk to him. And so we had a chance to talk. And I guess really from that interaction, again, it's just, he's very confident if you haven't picked that out. He is easy to just feel comfortable with. And that was kind of like, okay, I'd like to give this a chance. Now I know he has a lot more to share on that aspect on his side of things. But I think after a stressful day of just planning all of the community service things and being happy that it was over, it's just really nice to just have an interaction. Okay, I like him. It'd be nice to go out. And
So the same type of deal. So at that point, I think that it just so happened that we were both single at the time. And Bo was like trying to match us up, right? She was like, yeah, because she told me the same thing. You need to go talk to her and so forth. And I was like, I don't really know and so forth. But then we ended up talking. And I remember the main thing was that it was outside with some of the Christina's faces. So she kept like trying to move her head, trying to get the center of her face or whatever. And I still have it, but I had this UAB sun visor. And so I gave her the sun visor so she could block the sun with the visor on and so forth. And then when we get ready to leave, she's like, oh, here's your hat back. And I was like, no, I'll get it later. And then, I was like, you just we'll get it later, and so forth. And that was kind of my end to like, I'll call you, we'll go on a date, and then I'll get my hat back, right? And so that was really kind of the gist of it, kind of our first interaction. But the thing with Christina that I knew more than anything was our first date, which is really like 3 dates, because we went, I think, like 3 or 4 different places.
a lot of places our first date.
But I knew that Christina was going to work out when we went to Moe's. Now, I don't make it sound like I've been on a bunch of dates, but typically you go on dates with girls and you go and you get food. They're going to go, I'm going to get this salad, and I'm going to play with this salad, blah, blah, blah. Chris is like, man, I ain't doing that. We went to Moe's and Chris ordered a home wrecker. Now, I don't know if you know what a home wrecker is at Moe's, but it is the biggest burrito that they offer. And she got that home wrecker and she destroyed it. Like, she did not waste any time. She ate the whole thing, no question, no nothing. And I was like, you know what? I like it. Because she's not trying to put on the front for me like she's not going to eat or she didn't care, whatever. She was like, I'm going to tear up this home wrecker. And it was great. I loved it.
Christina, your impressions, first date, post home wrecker, because Archie mentioned it was kind of 3 dates wrapped into one. What was it like?
I kind of think that's the sign of what the date was. We just found more opportunities and ways to just kind of stretch it out. I think it started out as like a meal, and then we had coffee, and then we had something else. I found that we had a lot of things in common, and really just getting to know him more was pretty great.
At what point, Christina, did you go, you know what? I think there might be a future in this guy.
I think probably after, well, now I'm like, how long did we date? Was it an hour? Not an hour, a year and a half, I think. So probably like 9 months to a year of just realized there's so many things that we enjoy together. So a part of getting to know him was going to different events or realizing that we enjoy certain types of food, and just really getting to that point where I just felt so comfortable and taken care of, and he's amazing in that way. And so I would say within the first year.
Archie, I'll flip the question to you. I know that you were attracted to her with the boodle skirt, pleated skirt. I know at that point, but when did you realize, you know what, there's something special here?
Oh, I knew the first date. The first date I knew. Because it isn't normal for me to be able to just talk to somebody for like, again, it was hours. We probably were together for like 6, 7 hours on that first date, just going from place to place to place. And no, I can talk a lot, but just being around one person for that long of a period, I would have been tired by now. I was like, you know what, let me go talk to somebody else or do something else or whatever. But no, I knew the first day. And I remember, I think we had been dating maybe a couple months. And I told my friend Scott, or actually our friend Scott, I think this is it. So I knew pretty quick.
What was dating like in Birmingham at UAB, mid 2000s? What were you doing? Where were you eating?
Formaggio's.
Oh man,
We spent a lot of time at
Formaggio's.
Formaggio's, which is a restaurant that is on South Side, not far from UAB's campus. And we just made so many friends there. We made friends with the bartender. She'd be like, I'm trying out this drink. Go ahead and let me know what you think. I was like, it's great.
You remember the time we had the movie night in between classes? Man, oh
In the
man, it
business building?
was in the
Is that in the
business.
business building?
Yeah, remember Dr. Bird brought us popcorn?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was, and that's kind of something at UAB that I don't think you normally get. But yeah, I was in between classes, and I just had some time to hang out, and so we're gonna have a movie night in one of the empty classrooms, and then Dr. Bird came by. He's one of my favorite professors, and he came by, and I thought we were gonna get in trouble for like being in the classroom, in the class or something. And he's like, no, y'all have a good time, whatever. And then he left, and then he came back with a bag of popcorn for us for our date, and I think it was awesome.
It gets to the point of the relationship where you're gonna take the next step. What went into planning the proposal, and what did you do?
Okay, so her family was really big into theater, like going to plays and stuff like that, right? And what was it, Virginia Sanford, Chris? Is that right?
Virginia Sanford Theater. Mm-hmm.
Virginia Sanford Theater. And then we went and saw, I can't remember what play it was at the time, but in the back of it, it was like, hey, we're going to have this trip to London, and we're going to see these plays and so forth. And it wasn't, again, it wasn't that expensive. It was maybe like $1,500 for like round trip, airfare, hotel stay, 3 plays. It was right after Christmas. You'd be there for New Year's. They were going to have like a
That was
special
dinner for New Year's. That was covered too.
It was awesome. And so like I knew, and then it worked out because she was going to graduate that December. And so I remember, like, I knew that I wasn't going to ask her to marry me until she graduated. That was my thing. And I remember this is I think it's around the time we played. She was like, yeah, I think I'm going to take another semester and I'm going to wait till the spring to graduate. And I was like, I think you might want to go ahead and get that done. Like you may not want to wait. Cause I'm like, I ain't got time for this. You need to go ahead and graduate so we can get married. We get on the plane, and I've got this ring, right? And for anybody who's ever had to propose, having the ring is like the most stressful thing in life because you don't want to lose it. It's just so stressful. And so we're going to the airport, and I've got it in my carry-on bag, and the TSA people, they see the ring. And then I'm thinking, okay, they're going to just see it, give me a nod, whatever. No, they start bringing people over to see this ring, and I'm like, no, like go away, it's fine, and so forth. Like Chris doesn't know any of this, but I am freaking out. Like I'm just like losing it. Another backstory is that we had the bright idea, because it was such a long flight, that we were just going to go out all night and just stay out all night and then sleep on the plane. Well, Chris ends up getting sick on the plane. So we stayed out all night, partied and so forth all night, stayed up all day on the flight to London. So we've been up for like, I don't know, 36 hours. We almost broke up in London at 6 a.m. because we're exhausted. I think it was something stupid like turning right or left because,
yeah, it was what direction we needed to go to get to, because we had to leave to get breakfast, and then we couldn't figure out how to get back to the hotel where we were staying.
And remember, I had $1,000, but because I didn't do enough research, I had like $1,000 in, I think it was in euros, and they took pounds, so that didn't help me at all. And so we had to find a place that would take US dollars before I could get it converted. And the hotel wasn't ready. It was just like a lot of bad things when we get to London.
Take me to the moment when it was about to happen, Archie. What were you doing at that time? Were you at one of the shows? Was it at a park?
No. So we actually got engaged. I asked her to ask me, it was on the London Bridge. well, actually, it's the Tower Bridge. It's called the big bridge you normally see in London. And I remember I was trying to get myself together and so forth. And I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, look at that boat. Isn't that a cool boat? You know, as I'm trying, and that, what are those people doing over there? Just kind of distracting her while I pull this ring out and kind of fumble through it or whatnot. And then I finally get the ring out. I don't remember really much of what I said other than saying, let's make it official. Now, I said a bunch of other stuff about how much I loved her and how great she was. And I don't remember any of that. But I remember saying, let's make it official. And I remember her being so surprised that she didn't know which hand to give me to put the ring on, because she was like, I don't know which one to do. And I was like, here.
That's true.
After that, we wanted to get a picture. So we did like a reenactment, and somebody was like, hey, yeah, we'll take it. Because it's just me and her. It's not probably we knew, but yeah, we'll take a picture. But when we did the first time, nobody really paid any attention to whatever. When we did the reenactment, so where the bridge is pretty much like a hallway. Well, people in the hallway just stop like it's a TV show or something. So there's no traffic, no nothing. They're just looking at us, right? And then I put the ring on her finger, and the person takes the picture, and then the place erupts in applause, right? It was amazing.
Christina, did you have any inkling that this was going to be happening during that? None.
I had no idea. But I was very much like, why does he want me to look at this barge on this river? Why is this boat so important? And then he started, telling me how he felt, and I turned around and I saw him, and I was just like, oh wow. And so I was so happy and so surprised that it was happening, but just grateful for the moment and just being able to say yes.
How many years ago was that? When did you guys get engaged? When did you guys get married?
We got engaged in 2007. So that was December. It was before New Year's. So sometime between Christmas and New Year's. Okay. We got married August 9th of 2008. So we've been married for 16 years.
Here you are 16 years later. A great family. You have two beautiful kids. And you're raising them in green and gold. What is it about UAB that just keeps you connected with the university? I know, Christina, you are employed at UAB, but you had that connection that was deep even before then.
One of my biggest appreciations about UAB is that, I think I kind of alluded to it earlier, is that you didn't have to be a part of a certain group to grow and be a part of something. It was very much of like, we're our own trailblazers. We encourage everyone to grow and contribute in whatever way they can. And so I enjoyed that as a student, becoming a student leader and learning more about those things, but also as an employee, I was able to continue to learn more about the institution, because at that time when I first started working at UAB, I was an admissions counselor. So I'm literally learning everything that UAB has to offer and seeing what great students that are coming to UAB and the things that they're doing. And so every opportunity I get, I try to find ways to interact with students and just to continue the excitement and pass on the knowledge that I've learned about just being a person or a student at UAB and using the resources and all the things that it has to offer to the best of your ability.
Archie, how about you? What makes UAB so special, and why do you stay connected?
I think because you can. I mean, we do great. I mean, and UAB has done a lot for us. Like, our kids were born there, we met there, all sorts of things and so forth. But that being said, I still know, like, if I go out and see a professor, right, they still remember me from class and so forth. And I've got something about interviewing kids for Mr. and Miss UAB, and now they're all grown, which makes me feel old. But they still like, hey, Archie, you remember me? I was like, yeah, I remember you, and so forth. And it's because you can. I think that you get the access to things that you don't normally get if you want it, right? Like, if you want to be involved, sometimes even if you don't, they'll find you. But there's no excuse to say, hey, well, I really wish I could do this, but I just don't have whatever this is to be involved in my school. At UAB, you have that.
That's Archie and Christina Blackmon. Archie earned his BS in Information Systems from the Collat School of Business in 2006. As for Christina, she owns 2 UAB degrees, graduating with her BA in Communication Studies in 2007 and Master of Public Administration in 2017. Both are from the College of Arts and Sciences. This loving couple truly knows what it means to be a Blazer. Their love story is a perfect match, just like the green and gold.
it's about part of being a family. And that sounds kind of, I guess, cliche to say and so forth. But again, my best friends are friends from college that I met that I would have never had any interaction with them if it wasn't for UAB. And because they're not in the same circles as me and so forth, they're all different backgrounds, different ethnicities and so forth. And because of a place like UAB, I'm able to interact with those people. That's why they exist. If it wasn't for UAB, I'd have the same type of friends and the same type of interaction with people, and I would never broaden that horizon to be with other people. And I think UAB gives you that opportunity to be around people that are different. And because of that, it makes it great. And even now, as an adult and so forth, as an alum, I still interact with people that I would have never interacted with, not because anything's wrong with them and so forth. It's just we touch different spaces. And that UAB family gives you that. And that to me is you can't put a price on that.
Being a Blazer means you're a part of a community to where if you know, right? Like it's not the status quo. It's not what everybody, believes in terms of a big school, but being a part of UAB, you have experienced the benefits of being in the city and having all the opportunities and internships and meeting different people. The diversity to me was probably the most surprising thing, to just interact with so many students from different backgrounds and cultures. But the community of it is what I enjoy the most, because if I'm in Wyoming and I see a UAB person, I'm coming to you and I was like, how you doing? Like like we're rare, but we're mighty when we see each other. And so I just really appreciate all the things that UAB is accomplishing. I'm very proud when someone says, oh, I haven't been there in a while. I say, you should come, you should see it. I mean, UAB is doing a lot, and it's not just a lot medically, it's a lot in a lot of different ways. And so I feel a part of that community. I feel like, that student that's doing this research and doing these things, that like, I am proud of them because they are part of my community.
Be sure to check out past episodes of the UAB Green and Told podcast. Listen in at alumni.uab.edu/Green and Told. Have a story to share or know someone who does? Email greenandtold@uab.edu. Finally, be sure to follow us on social media. Just search UAB Alumni on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for listening, and until next time, go Blazers.